Hey everyone, thank you for joining me for this new series that I'm embarking on, getting to know me and my novels. I am excited that you are here. If this is your first time in reviewing any of my videos, I am Nita Nay from Nita Nay's Books, Author's Point of View. I'm here to not only share who I am, but share about my books and for you to get to know the characters and what's coming in the future in regards to my books and getting to know them a little bit before they come out. So during this process, I am going to not only talk about myself, but I'm going to talk about each book. I'm going to do a book reading. I am going to have a scripture reading as well for each of the books that's relevant to the book. I am going to have a writing topic as well as writing resources and Q&A. So again, at the end of this session, go if you have any questions, not just about me, but about books or writing process, please go to your comment section, leave me your questions, and I will try to answer as many as I can. Thank you for joining me, and we are getting ready to start. Hey, everybody, we are back in the thick of things. We are getting ready to really get into the process of this series, getting to know me a little bit. If you look at most of my branding, it's either under Nita Nay's Books or Nita Nay. That is short for Arnita Renee, which is my first and middle name. Um, I love the color purple. I'm not into the signs thing, but I was born a Pisces. So February and Amethyst is my birthstone. um, I have been writing since I was about 16. I started out writing in journals, but it wasn't until um, high school that my English teacher, Mr. Katzman, really ignited some of the artistic things within me in regards to writing, in regards to learning poetry, doing drama, just being silly and having fun with the artistic side of who I was. Um, I wrote Amethyst in Love, which is the book we're going to be talking about today. I probably was about the age of 21 when I started writing this book. Of course, I love purple. So, being that I love purple, that's how the title of this book came about, Amethyst in Love. Although, there's that color, within this process, within the book. Um, but that's a little bit about me. Amethyst in Love is really a drama story about not knowing who you really are as a person growing up with really no foundation in your life. Jacqueline, who is the main character of this novella, novellas are typically short stories, very short novels. This particular book is only about 25,000 words. It's not your typical novel, which is usually 60,000 or more words. But anyway, um, Amethyst in Love really deals with trauma, no no real love growing up as a young person. She finds out at an early age that her father did not really want her, and he treated her as such. And, if you really read the book, you'll get to know why and all of that process. Um, but she has to determine what love is. She has to determine how love is. How is it supposed to work? What is it supposed to look like? How do you gain it? How do you maintain it? So right now, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to come back and you will be able to read along with me Jacqueline's monologue in Amethyst in Love. So now I'm going to read Jacqueline's monologue from Amethyst in Love. I grew up not learning what genuine love was, wanting but never understanding how to seek it out or even know what to look for, never looking at what I craved for my heart. I didn't have any positive and long lasting examples. Financial stability, well, my father took care of that. I was to go to college, get a suitor, become married, have offspring, and continue happily forever after, as my mom instructed me, because that's all she knew. After my parents died, being lost was an understatement. My life didn't turn out along the path they required. I guess my destiny was to do and be something different. The genuine love around me, I didn't understand how to receive or maintain it. I had to break the cycle and discover what I was missing. What did I know about faith? They never discussed God in our home. It was taboo, and none of the three kids dared to speak of any God. Even the mythical ones were forbidden. No Zeus or Superman or Thor. So, what's a young woman to do? Live out the course before me, later to find myself in a place of wanting, bare and devoid inside. What was I searching for? What is authentic love anyway? What did marriage represent? Hey, everyone, thank you for coming back and joining me. We are getting ready to get into our writing topic. And this is a question that I want you to ask yourself. If you ever thought about writing a book, or if you ever thought about doing a self-help book or devotional or um, whatever genre you ever thought about doing, do you have what it takes to write? Um, what I will initially say is that anybody has the capacity to write. Anybody has has the ability, because if you're able to learn, you're able to write. But I will say that having that love and that passion isn't necessarily the initial factor that you need in order to write something. I think the initial thing that you really have to determine, whether it's a desire down on the inside, is it something from God, um, that's stirring you to want to write this book? Um, is it the fact that you have a story and you want to help someone else? So I think the love and the passion comes later, but I think desire to do it really has to be deep down and ingrained within you, because that desire will keep you and help you get to the end. Um, what I will say is writing is not easy. And so you have to really determine whether or not you have the focus, the time, the energy, um, to start and end that project, that book. Because there are things that come up in life, whether it's family, whether it's whether it's your job, whether it's ministry, whether it is something that may affect your writing, you have to be okay with life kind of getting in the way, but getting back into focus about writing. Um, for me, I wrote novels. Um, I don't even think I had the love or the passion for it, but I desired it. I desired writing. Initially, it was to help me stay sane, per se. But the passion and the love for it came later because I think with maturity in this process, you get to know that it's just not about writing. If you just want to write, then go into your journal. But when you want to produce it, and to put it out into the world, I think eventually the love and the passion comes. What I will say also is that just because you're an avid reader doesn't mean that you are able to write or you should write. And even on the other spectrum of that, even if you're not an avid reader, you may have the desire to write something. God has probably put something down on the inside of you to be able to write. So in that aspect of writing, you have to determine whether or not you are willing to give up time, because writing something well or writing something that you want people to read takes time, take focus. Again, keep God first in all that you do. Um, don't sacrifice family in the process, but you may have to sacrifice time. You may have to sacrifice going to a party. You may have to sacrifice, watching your favorite TV show if that desire and that burning desire is down on the inside. So my thing to you is to determine whether you are willing to sacrifice some of your time from beginning of that process of writing that book to the end of writing that book. And so that is our writing topic for today. Do you have what it takes? Time, focus, and determination, and the love and the passion will come. All right. So now we're going to talk about the writing resource. So what is an outliner? An outliner, we kind of learned that in high school and in college. We outlined our stories, we outlined our book reports, we outline proposals, we outline our novels. Some people do that, and it kind of gives them that initial look from beginning to end of how they're going to write this book. They may make changes during the process of their writing, but it gives them that initial look at how they're going to write a book. A pantser is someone who just writes and writes and writes, and they fill in the details later. And pretty much that's me. 85% of my writing is just being a pantser and just writing. Most times I will write on a notepad most of the novel first, and then I'll transition it and start the process of filling in things when I transition it to um, the computer. So you need to really find out what type of writing style you are. That helps even before you start writing anything, because then you're less confused in regards to who you are and how you write. And so you don't want to be frustrated. And that's why I'm talking about these processes initially for beginning writers, because you need to learn these things. I didn't know. I didn't know what I was. I didn't know they had a name for it, but they do have names for it. So I will say, even for me, that I kind of do both. Again, 85% pantser, and then 15% for me is outlining. Um, there's a couple of books that I've written, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in their own section. But Apocalyptic 7 that I wrote, I just I just pants that pretty much all the way through. You know, of course, I had to do research, scripture research, things of that nature. But when I decided to do Apocalyptic 8, I was like, I have nothing. So I really had to outline that book, put my ideas down, write them down, visually look at them, um, figure out, you know, the characters, what's going to happen, plot it out, theme it out. So, you know, some people do both, some people do one or the other, but there are even pros and cons to each one of those aspects. So in the blog that is attached to this video, has the resources and some links to whether or not you're an outliner or a pantser, and the pros and cons to both of those um, situations that you may be a part of in your writing style. So that is all I want to talk about in regards to the writing topic. Um, because I haven't received any questions yet by the time that I did this video, basically I'm going to ask, this is the question that I ask other authors, and it typically gets them, you know, going, interested in. And so I'm going to ask that question of myself: what do I like to do for fun? Um, and so I love movies. I love watching movies. I loved when, you know, we could go to the movie theater and watch these epic movies on these big, huge screens. And so I love movies. I love epic movies, any Marvel movie, any, you know, even the DC movies I love. You know, The Matrix, Star Wars. Star Wars is kind of like my favorite. My sons don't like the last three, but I like the last three. Anyway, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, all of those epic, you know, series of movies I enjoy. I love movies, period, but you know, the epic ones where it's loud and you get to eat popcorn and things of that nature. So, yes, I am a movie watcher. I love movies. I'm a movie buff in the sense of epic series. And so I hope you have enjoyed this particular session. Each one, I hope to do better. And thank you for joining me. Thanks everyone for joining me for this episode series of Getting to Know Me and My Books. Next week, I am going to be discussing Detective Brenda Sayers' Mercy Undercover, my second novel that I wrote. And see you next week. All right, bye.